you have talked a great big game about orchestrating AI agents in coder workspaces. You've said that you're getting 75 to 95% completion rates with AI, and you're shipping features while you sleep. It's time to back this up and show us what this does and how you actually do this. Are you ready to do the demo?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, bud, it's time to put up or shut up. Let's do it.
Okay.
So walk us through. What are we looking at here?
Okay, so this is GitHub Issues, and this is just how I organize the features that I'm working on. Obviously, they're not perfectly in line, but it gives me a general sense of where I want to go. And I think when you're working by yourself, there's a great tendency to just like ignore this stuff. So I think GitHub Projects is great because it's just so simple. You can't really go wrong with the way that it forces you to just think instead of plan endlessly. So I build a spec that's pretty in depth. I guess it depends what the feature is. With this one, I might take this and try to see break down the tasks a bit. This one's for a newsletter system, so I want to develop a system newsletter that I can send out to my customers, some updates and things like that. And I want to build it in so that I can have some assistants help me send out some emails and these types of things in the future. So yeah, I mean, this includes a bunch of Go code, some admin settings screens and stuff like this. And this was all with Claude Opus. And you can see down here, I was working on this in a few different iterations, going through saying, this is what we should do. This is, we should do it different. We should do it different. And then the way that I get these launched is I just go and I have a label called needs workspace. Mm-hmm. And I just add that label on. And then the machine boots up and runs that issue. And
when you say machine, you're meaning the coder workspace, right?
Yeah, the coder workspace. So I'll go into my code here, and I'll open up a workspace that has, so we can look at some of these files a little bit easier. So,
well, and a couple of things I noticed there. Your GitHub issues are far and above what we see in most GitHub issues. And so I'm guessing this is part of your spec. This is part of your prompt, because when you're opening up the workspace, it's going to take the issue and that's explaining what it is. So I'm guessing you're spending a lot of time on these issues where you're not typing, you're getting these issues so that they're as full function as they can be to get the prompt into the AI, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that, I'm always a big proponent of documentation, and I think that one of the greatest things about having an LLM is that you can get your docs written so much faster. I mean, that's a double-edged sword, but I think everybody complained about writing docs before, but that was everything that would make your project successful, right? Now you get that for free. You should probably just do it. So the more that you can document, the better. And yeah,
well, it's taking time out of your day. That's something else you don't
true.
have to go back and clean up. This is something that's just happening automatically.
Right. So yeah, I spend a bit of time on that. And then, so these are 3 workspaces that I've got running right now. I can show how the code is and sort of how it orchestrates itself. It's very simple. So let me actually open up this one. Oh, sorry, I opened in a new window. There we go. Okay. So, and apologies for the blinding white screen here, but
dark mode fans all over the world are screaming at you right now.
Yeah, this is the one thing I got to upgrade in my workflow, is to force it to pick out a dark theme. But this is still, you got to prioritize, right? So the structure for my repo is that it's a mono repo. Have some apps here. Next app, the backend processing service, the Expo app, which builds the Android and the iOS. Then I've got a docs folder, which has a ton of plans in it that are things that I work on. These end up going into the GitHub issue in many instances, kind of my workspace plans here. Some architecture docs. I don't have a ton of these. I should have more. Kind of explains what my music player does, how it works, how the audio pool manages instances, this type of thing. Some different workflows, some like really simple stuff, how you can use the Kubernetes cluster, how the state store works. I have a Zustian store, how to do migrations, the way that I like migrations to be done, what not to touch, what to touch, how to name things, this kind of thing.
So let me stop you there a second. So
Yeah.
you've got something that kind of explains how to use Kubernetes. So I'm guessing you're deploying this on Kubernetes. Are you using AI as kind of your platform engineer as well to help bring up Kubernetes pods and things for your application?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Yep.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, Kubernetes is amazing. The pain about Kubernetes is managing it. But I mean, I would actually say it's not even the managing it. It's typing the commands to manage it. And AI is amazing with it. So if you have a good layout, yeah, it just works. So these are my infra files here. And
okay.
Yeah, I got some manifests for the app, ingresses, secrets, my processors. Yeah, tail scale. I've got the full rundown here, and I could not do this 100%. I would not be able to be where I am with this product. Like we're transcoding a file into 4 different formats due to necessity. We have auto scaling workers for all of the audio processing for the app, for everything. We have auto scaling based off of the number of items in the queue that are from Redis. So yeah, definitely we're using AI for all of the infra.
I think that's incredible. I think that's something that a lot of people aren't talking about is we're seeing a lot about code generation and how it can be a code assistant or help you with code and documentation. But you're showing that this can also be your infrastructure guy. This can be your infrastructure teammate and your platform engineer to help you manage the infrastructure that you're going to run the applications on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, I think that it's faster. So you get a better result when you manage your own infra. I use Hetzner for all of our servers, and they have the best service and the best costs. So I have a cluster with dozens and dozens of machines running, and I would never be able to afford this if I was running on AWS. No offense to AWS, but
huge plug for Hetzner there.
Yeah, Hetzner is phenomenal, and being able to do things the right way and actually orchestrating things in this manner is so much faster than using many other services. Just how you're able to directly connect with things, to very deliberately scale things. Kubernetes is amazing. And a lot of people complain about it. They're like, Kubernetes is too busy, it's too complicated. It's not really, but it can be overwhelming if you don't have an assistant. But now we do. So yeah, I would like all of these expensive, SaaS hosting businesses. I try to avoid that at all costs. And then,
and I think that's just common. Me and you have been in this game for a long time. Kubernetes is, I won't say it's new, but it's a newer technology. And it's hard to kind of shift our minds from what we knew to something new. But you've got AI coming in. It's acting like, the guy that's been in college that grew up on Kubernetes. So, of course, he knows it. So it's a little bit easier just to tell him what you want it to do and have AI go out and do it, or her.
Yeah. So then we got some shared packages down here, some database migrations and stuff. And then up here, we've got the GitHub Actions workflows. And this is kind of where all the fun stuff happens. So I would also, huge plug for Claude Code on GitHub Actions. This is also something that is very complex to, I guess not complex, it's very tedious to write out, especially if you want something where, for instance, let's go look at the deploy development. So the deploy development here, it tests the processor, it builds the app, it builds the processor, migrates the database, deploys the app. And all of these steps in here have checks on each other. And, when you're adding more services, when you're trying to make sure that these things are checking each other, before writing this was a little bit tedious and frustrating. But now I have a pipeline that, if any of the tests aren't passing for one of the service and it has the dependency, it fails. And I feel really safe being able to just, push code.
So this is how you get to that. I can do things while I'm sleeping. AI never sleeps. I'm getting it to do things for me. It's because you took the time to set up a proper workflow for both yourself and AI.
Yep.
And please correct me if I'm wrong here. And now you spend your time working on GitHub issues, which includes your specs. You're working on architecture. You're working on, where the forward plan, what the roadmap looks for this. You're putting all in AI. AI becomes your implementer.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, like the other day, I had some 500 errors on an ingress. I didn't know why these errors were coming, where they were coming from. I had some alerts coming through from Prometheus, and so I copied the error and put it into an issue. Said, "Hey, look at the cluster workflow," which I'll just open it up over here. Cluster workflow right here, cluster.md. I won't open that one up on the screen.
Probably not. People be screenshotting that and taking your secrets.
But it says like, here's how you log in and everything. And so I basically, say, hey, figure out what these 500 errors are. It does. It presents some solutions for me for how to improve the manifests to get rid of this. It was that there were some incorrect timeouts. If, figured it all out. Yeah, it's pretty wonderful like that. And then we go into the coder workspace on issue. So this is kind of the magic sauce here. And the way that this works is pretty easy. So it just pulls out the issue details from the GitHub issue, sets up the coder CLI. Then that's it right here. Create coder workspace. Here are the parameters. Here's the repo. And then here's part of the, so I have two places that this kind of touches, and I'll show the other one because I've kind of migrated away from using the agent API and the Claude Code web plugin for Coder and using Claude Code inside a TMOC session instead. But this is how we pass everything through. It's really just in here. And then, this is pretty much normal stuff. As when it boots it up, it posts a little comment inside the issue that just says, hey, here's everything running. That's that part. So then we get into the...
Now, are you using AI to help write some of your pipelines? Or are you using it to help write your GitHub actions?
All of it. Yeah.
So you say you walked away from being a CTO, Noel, but you really didn't. You're still a CTO. You're just, now you got a bunch of virtual employees.
I do. And yeah, I mean, this is the way to be a CTO. It definitely, I think, just from like my time a few years ago, it was very expensive to be able to just have people help you get to the place that you need to be stable. So like for me, for this project, it's running on Kubernetes with the full open source Grafana products, right? And before, I think still what a lot of people do is they cut corners. I'm not going to figure out how to install Grafana. I'm not going to host my own Prometheus. I'm not going to host Alloy. I'm not going to host this stuff because I don't know it and it's time consuming. So you either pay Datadog or you hire other people that know how to do this. Then it's just a headache. So you don't. So you try to throw money at the problem, really. You don't have to do that today. It's not hard to get this stuff installed, especially when you have help. And yeah, thankfully, I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, thankfully all Claude Code helps me get to the point where I have an amazing observability pipeline. I have OTel on all of my applications. I have all of these dashboards created and functional. I have OAuth login into all of my control panels so that I don't have to have a bunch of different logins, right? I just open it, I get in. And yeah, so yeah, thanks to AI.
Well, and since we're talking about infrastructure, explain something else. So you go in, you tag your GitHub issue with needs workspace. That brings up a coder workspace. What does your template look like? What kind of tools are you bringing in? What does your template look like? What do you need in order for that to run efficiently?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the fun stuff. So this is the template. We have a Doppler token. So I use Doppler for secrets management. I love it. There's nothing quite like it. A GitHub token so that the GitHub CLI can be accessed. Claude Code OAuth token so that I can use my Claude Code Max subscription from inside the workspaces. Very important not to be spending a bazillion dollars on Anthropic credits. Docker Hub logins, AWS logins, just to be able to pull images faster. This is actually a big one. I use Supabase for some of the Postgres features and for the Postgres database. And I found that when I was booting up a lot of workspaces, it would be requesting images too fast. So you got to log in to reduce the rate limiting. And then these are really just these GitHub parameters. These are passed through from the actions, right? So the action that I just showed, and it connects into this. You got the repo, the issue number, the issue body. The issue body is actually not used anymore. I found that my issue bodies were too big and would break things a little bit. So
interesting.
The way that, let's see, so we go down. I spent a little bit too much time on this part. So I'm running Docker Compose locally for my dev environment. And so that's what I wanted to run inside of the workspace.
Okay.
The Docker and Docker was a little tricky, but thankfully I got there, figured it out. So this is the Docker image. I build a special to make the boot up a little bit faster. I have some tools built into a Docker image that I use as my base image. And so then this is the Docker container for the workspace. And you can see these are the environment vars that it'll pass down. I'd use sysbox run C to be able to do the Docker and Docker. Ignore the lifecycle changes so that you don't get any errors shutting down. And then, let's see. Yep, coder agent. So this is the coder agent.
Yeah, see your Claude Code prompts and all that stuff in there as well.
Yes, we've got this in there, right? And then get some shutdown scripts, startup script, and then I will dig into those scripts a little bit. Again, mostly just exporting the same things over and over again, just to pass them through properly. And then these are the services. So I have my app, which gets exposed through the ingress. This is my API that gets exposed. The API admin interface, WebSocket server, and then I have the code server to be able to run VS Code, and then I use the Claude Code module here, but I actually have commented out the prompt. So I don't use the Claude Code web except for the install. Okay. I find that I hit the escape key too often for that interface. And I like to have, as you can see, some things in tmux down here. And then
now a quick question for you. Have you looked at like coder tasks rather than installing the web module? Have you looked at coder task and using that as your interface?
I have. I still like having the access for the session and being able to being able to run it, and then when you get to the end and you go escape, so if we go escape down here, and then you essentially, instead of letting it compact, you just like go up, right, and you go back. That's really helpful for me. And I haven't found a way to do that. So that's kind of my issue. All right. So then the scripts for this are pretty straightforward, actually. So I've got one script here. This one actually just helps me push my template. So, not anything really fancy in there. It just lets me push my template a bazillion times as I'm updating it and testing the workspace template. And then I've got these scripts in here. This one's the fun one. This is Claude getting started, and you can see I've had like enable tmux Claude, yes or no. I've been testing out different ways of working with this. This sets up the proper settings file, so it copies over the settings.coder.json into the settings local. So if we go ahead and look at that, you see that it just like allows it to do almost everything.
Okay.
almost. I still trying to make my whitelist work really well. And then, yeah, this checks the services so to make sure that they're all healthy, that they're starting up properly, looks at Next.js, and then installs the proper user ID, this type of thing. And then here we go. So I have two prompts essentially. I have one that's the first run. So this is your, you're starting work on this issue. The services are ready. Read these, specific things before doing database work. Here's the GitHub issue. Go use right here, go use the GitHub command line, go read the issue, then start working on it.
Gotcha.
So through all of this, it's basically just go use your tools and work on it. And then I have a file that's a dot file that's a marker. So the first time it starts up, this file is created. And so if it's restarted, the workspace doesn't do anything. So it has a different prompt.
Nice. Very nice.
Yep.
Well, tell you what. So we've seen your process. We've seen what you do to code. Show us the website, buddy. What does it look like?
Yeah. All right. Well, here, we can see just so this is one is going to still be, running off of the dev server itself. And I'll do two things at once just to, you can see that this is kind of like a real app with the logs coming through and everything. There you go. And yeah, so we've got, a home page, music files on it. Can view the track, leave comments, play the audio. And yeah, so go back here. You can see, it's all the dev server running.
It's a beautiful website, Noel. You can tell that you've done UI in your past.
Thanks. Yeah, you can go in, pick out a color that you want, change it to your color. You want to, grab some songs. You can just drop them in here, click upload, and they should start going through. Yeah, that's the process. Anything else you'd like me to show you here?
No, I think that's it. I think this is enough to get people interested. We're going to go ahead and end this out.